Tonight's tactical enhancement is the cheetah. Tonight we're doing another Armies on Parade video. This video is for Black Powder Armies on Parade. This is actually Andrew's army. It's a British army, and Andrew, like me, has been pushing around metal, then later plastic figures for 3 decades, about that, maybe a bit more. But we've managed to avoid the Napoleonics until just recently, where a friend of ours we've been playing originally playing some war with, and some other game systems more recently, has twisted our arms, and we're getting into the Napoleonics. We've had a few games, but this is very much the early stages of the journey. You're getting into it, and Andrew's been extremely busy, or I've been banging my head against the wall with too many spiky bits and dark hills, and he's been painting up his first what do they call it? Brigade. His first brigade of the British. So Andrew's got a particular way of going about doing them that's really fast and gets some pretty good results. I hope you'll agree when you look at them. And so we thought we'd talk you through what he's done, how he's gone about it.
Alright, so I guess we'll start with just the basic line infantry. So start with this unit over here.
Alright, see how my focus works. There we go, that's better.
Alright, so British units, I've been told, are a little bit smaller than other Napoleonic battalions. So these are only 5 companies. So a company is that. So a British battalion is made up of 5 companies, whereas battalions from other armies are made up of at least 6. I think the only exception to that would be the Austrians, who take absolutely massive battalions.
And what benefit do they get from it?
Well, in game terms, the units stick around a lot longer. They have a lot more, what's called stamina in this game, but we would call it hit points.
Right.
So a standard British unit will have 3, whereas a large unit would have 4.
Right.
And large units also have more attack dice. They also have more dice for shooting. So you're getting a lot more bang for your buck, basically, but you do actually pay more points for it, obviously.
Yeah.
So these units, with the exception of the Highlanders there, are all Warlord. So I started out with the British Army box, sorry. So you get 3 line battalions of basic British infantry. You get a unit of dragoons, a cannon, and I think you get 1 or 2 units of Hanoverians, which are allies of the British. But I wasn't too keen on them, so I didn't use them. In fact, all I've used from that starter army is the 3 line battalions that you've got in front of you at the moment. I wasn't too keen on the cannons because they were lead. They didn't really go together very well. They weren't cast really that well either. The barrel was kind of warped and the wheels were all bent out of shape, and I tried to bend them back into shape, and I just sort of gave up.
So plastic's the way to go with the cannons if you can get them.
Yes, so speaking of which, the cannon that you can see here is Victrix. Now you get 3 of these in a box set, and they worked out to about $40. Whereas if you buy it from someone else, you might only get 1 or 2 cannons for that price.
Righto.
And they're lead or metal. So definitely recommend the Victrix. You also get this wonderful little
Yep, the ammo carrier
at the back, which I thought was really characterful. Really simple to put together as well, and just adds a lot more to the character of the army. I don't think it actually does anything in the game, rather than just an extra piece of scenery. So the next unit would be the Highlanders. This is my favourite unit.
We're going with green tartan.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the actual card for the 42nd. So these are the Black Watch.
Right, so they're specials.
No, they're just standard Highlanders, but the Black Watch had a bit of a history to them.
Right.
I understand they're quite naughty.
Oh, yeah, okay. Chopping heads off or doing other things?
They're quite violent.
Right, okay.
So they were known for their ferocity.
So there's a Scottish cliche right there.
Yes. Angry Scottish men in kilts with rifles and bayonets.
Right. And have they got any rules benefits?
They do. So they have a special rule that allows them to re-roll one attack dice per turn.
Right.
And I believe that's whether they charge or whether they get charged, so they just get that every turn.
So they get a bit of a buff to killing shit.
Yeah, so in terms of points values, a line battalion is 39 points.
Right.
The Highlanders are 40 points. So you're paying a whole 1 point.
Well, that's a fucking good deal.
So that's a freaking bargain.
That's an excuse to pay a lot of money in kilts.
So originally I wanted to just have an entire army of Highlanders, because why would you not want an entire fucking army?
That's quite a reasonable thing to do.
Unfortunately, the way Black Powder works, you can have one Highlander battalion for every 4 battalions.
Well, I suppose you've got to give people a reason to buy the regular guys when there's things like a skirt wearing psychopaths around.
Yeah, I mean, there were 3 regiments of Highlanders, whereas the number of British regular line infantry regiments, I'm assuming.
Quite a few of them are. Yeah, okay.
Probably 30 odd. So the Highlanders, they were Victrix as well.
Right.
This is they were the first Victrix box set that I bought, because all the other Highlanders that I found online were all metal, and therefore really fucking expensive. Whereas Victrix, I think they were about $30 or $40 for the box set of Highlanders.
Yep.
And you get like 40 odd in the box set.
That's all right.
Whereas, as you can see, I'm only using 20, so I'm only actually using half the box.
I've noticed that Warlord give you basically what you need and maybe a couple of spare guys. So I've got some Prussians that I've unboxed and have got as far as cutting out some bases out of plastic card and scratching them up, and that's about it. And the Perry miniatures, you get 46, 48.
I think it might be 48, yeah.
Yeah, only one command group though. Whereas the Warlord, you get 26. So I got 2 boxes of Perry, then I decided I needed a 3rd infantry unit just to get started. And the only thing I could find in the game store that day was a Warlord box of the reservists or whatever they are for the Prussians.
Oh, the Land Rear, I think they're
called. Yeah. So I've got an El Cheapo unit to back up my mate guys.
Bit unreliable, but they can take a few shots for you.
Well, they can sit on a flank. It's not too busy.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a bit of variety in the list. But the thing is, I suppose, Warlord is pretty expensive for what you get.
Yeah, I found they're actually more expensive than Victrix.
I mean, I like the Warlord Cavalry, and the miniatures. I've cracked them open and had a look, and they look just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose you're getting what you need. You're not getting what you need plus a bunch of extra shit to do something with.
Yeah. So with the Warlord, the posing is very same, as you can see from the line regiments. Everybody's in pretty much the same pose there. Whereas the Highlanders there, you can see there's because they're multi-part.
See if I can get 2 units in the shot at the same time.
The Highlanders are multi-part kits, so
a bit more dynamic.
No 2 unit would ever look the same, simply because you can just pose and you can swap around and you can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. So what did you do for the basing?
The what, sorry?
The basing.
The basing. As in the actual bases or the...
Yeah, so what are they mounted on? Because a lot of these things, you got to do your own base.
You do. So all the bases are 40mm by 40mm for infantry, cavalry are 50 by 50, and the artillery is 50 by 50 as well. So I just used plastic card.
Oh, that's not in shot. I'll just move that over. Where are we? So that was the camera guys, not the person holding shit up.
Yep.
Yep. So box standard. What thickness?
2mm.
2mm. Okay, so that's pretty strong.
Yeah. So that's not gonna bend or warp or do anything. It's actually kind of expensive to buy. I think I got one sheet of it for $10, $12.
Yeah, they did the same.
And that basically that did the whole army. so far, except for the cavalry. So, yeah, pretty easy. Mark it out, cut it, sand it,
Yep.
glue everything on.
It's worth noting, we were talking just before we started filming, and we've got this bloke we just started gaming with who's got 500 British infantry in 28mm.
That will take me several years.
Yeah, I've not yet figured it out. But you do have a fast way of painting.
Right.
So what's your approach?
Okay, all right. So I do one battalion at a time. So 20 guys.
All right.
20 guys, I get 5 battle prop sticks. And I glue 4 guys onto each strip.
All right.
So 5 strips. Then I just undercoat them using a Games Workshop spray called, it's not a white, it's sort of an off-white.
It's probably some sort of gothic Corax or some shit.
Oh, I don't know. They keep changing the bloody names on these. I think every year they just come up with new names for everything in their range. So it's an off-white sort of colour. And then the secret to it is contrast colours.
Mm-hmm.
So I use basically 4 colours for the entire unit. So a light grey, a red, the black, the skin. And that's
right.
And that's pretty much, and they're all contrast colours.
And for the white bits, you're just painting around it.
I'll leave them white.
Yeah.
And then I just get the grey contrast, water it down, and use that as a wash for the white, just to dirty it up a little bit.
Well, that sounds fairly fast.
Yeah, so it's one application for contrast. Just use a nice detailed brush, or a brush with a nice point on it.
Mm-hmm.
Paint neatly. If I'm really rushing a unit, I can do a battalion in a day, which I had to do.
That's pretty full on.
Yeah, that's because just prior to our last game at Black Powder, I really wanted to get another unit down, and the game was that night, so I got up super early in the morning and just pretty much just painted all day and knocked out a battalion.
Right. Well, I mean, it works pretty well. With my middle-aged eyesight, it looks as good as anything you do with, like, multiple layers of, paint, wash, highlight.
So your base, your shade, your highlight. So it basically does 3 things at once. It bases, it shades, and it highlights all at once.
Right.
So then you just got your detail work to do. So your gold, your swords, your bayonets, and hair, and
Yep, picking the bits out.
So in Napoleonics, each unit is differentiated between what's called facings, which is their collar,
Right.
and their cuffs.
Right.
And on the grenadiers and the standard infantry unit is a little bit on their epaulets, which will be the one colour for the whole battalion. So it might be blue, or it might be red, or it might be gold, and each regiment has their own colour.
So from James Pond's point of view, he can tell which regiment it is by whether the collars and cuffs match.
Pretty much, yep.
Okay.
That's pretty much how the British did it.
Okay. Well, I might just try and get a close-up shot of. Let's see if I can get this to bloody work. We'll do that first, and I'll hold up one of these to try and get it in focus, get a bit of light on it. So you get a bit. Is that dry brushing on the helmet, or is that just the way it came out?
That's just the contrast.
Damn, that's neat, isn't it?
One application.
Fucking hell.
Same for all the rifles too. It's just one contrast colour of brown.
Because I've got my Prussians to do, and I'm toying with the idea of how to do it. And I was thinking I spray them all this grey colour that I bought, because that's the colour of their trousers.
Yeah.
Then all I've really got to do is, and that's the colour of their blankets and things. Then all I've really got to do is paint the boots, the face,
the jackets,
and the hats are the same colour as the jackets. So I can block paint it.
Yeah.
Then I slop some. I'm not sure if I'm going to use a brown or a black wash. I'll just do some demo ones with some spare Perry miniatures just to figure out which ones look better. And that will be the way that I'm thinking of doing it. But I'm a notoriously slow painter who bitches and moans about it all the time, and then doesn't try a new way of doing it. So we'll see if maybe I've got to change my ways.
We all got to move with the future, and honestly, I think contrast colours are the way to go forward with, painting stuff like Black Powder. I'm not sold on the idea of using it for 40k or for fantasy or some sort of skirmish level game. But I think if you're doing massed rank and file stuff, I think it works just fine.
Yeah, I mean, do you use the blue? Is that one of the contrast colours you used?
Yes.
So that looks like it's a 3-stage process to get that finish.
No, it's just one coat.
I feel like I'm doing product placement for the bastards, and they're rich enough already. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, let's point out that it does actually cost $11.50 for each pot.
All right, excellent. I feel that balance has been restored.
Okay. So that's about $60 worth of paint. But then, you know, if I look at how much I've used out of the pot, I could do another 10 brigades, and probably still not reach the bottom of the pot.
Well,
So.
when you consider how much money we're spending on every other fucking thing, I mean, just the lovely tufts of grass cost more than you're spending on paint.
Yeah.
Let's get a close up with these guys. These look alright.
So that's the brigade commander. He's where did I steal him from? I think I just stole him from leftover stuff, and bits and pieces from the rank and file.
Right.
The horse I stole from the army box set. It's actually supposed to have a rider, but the rider was so terrible I didn't use him. So I figured, you know what, I'll have someone holding the horse for him while he's having a bit of a squeeze around.
Right, yeah, and I noticed you've used Old School Games Workshop. What's that, 50mm round base?
Yep, I think that's from a Great Eagle, I think.
Right, yeah, I got a whole bunch of these things because I bought my demons back when you got the square and the round bases at the same time.
Oh my god, yeah, there you go.
So
that would save you a bucket load right there.
Yeah, so I'd be cutting out more bits of plastic card. I have to figure out how many commanders you need. So you see quite a few of these dancing around the field. I'm not quite sure which ones are which.
Oh, so each brigade has their own commander. So these 4 infantry units have their own commander.
Just the one?
Just the one. And then you have your army general, who doesn't actually command anything. He just commands the brigade commanders.
Right. Okay.
And all he does is just give you a reroll anyway. So.
Yep. And I might just quietly note that my table is in storage at the moment because I thought we were going to be playing a different game system that involved a C map, and I've been carving up fields out of doormats, so there's shit all over my flock mat at the moment. Normally we use a different table entirely, which I might show another day. Shall we have a look at the horsies?
Let's have a look at the horsies, yeah. So this is my first foray into painting cavalry for black powder. So the horses I airbrushed using a new technique that I saw on YouTube.
Right.
Which seemed to work okay, I think, because painting white is just notoriously mind-numbing.
I painted an entire army of Space Marines white once.
Yes, I remember that.
Stripped the Ultramarines down, and then I don't have them anymore. I traded them for Flames of War.
Yes.
But I repainted the whole fucking thing in white. Took about 2 years, and I'd rather had enough of it by the end.
Yeah, so I just started with a sort of a mid-grey, then went to a light grey, then just went with just pure white with the airbrush.
So you're doing like really fine light airbrushing on this.
So basically, the way I do it, I spray it all the grey. Sort of if you see the colour of the tails, that's the grey. That's the base.
Okay, right, yep.
So, and then with each highlight, I spray above the horse.
Oh, top down.
Just top down from both sides. So I just go spray, turn around, spray, and I'm done. And then I just get the next lighter shade, and then I just go spray, then I just turn it 180 degrees, and then I just spray.
What you can't see is that Andrew is gesturing with his hands to show how he did it.
Makes a lot more sense if you can see what I'm doing. But basically, I'm just spraying from the top, and I'm just rotating it.
So you'd hold it like this, and...
Yep. Then turning, then do the other side.
But not like that?
No.
Well, it'd be like that for most people. Mine looks like a Star Trek phaser, but most people would be like that. So literally it's top down.
Yeah. From about, I don't know, maybe 120 mil away.
12 centimetres.
Yeah.
Oh, that fucks with the focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, lovely. Okay, well, there's a trick.
So this is half a squadron or whatever it is they call it in this game. So there's supposed to be 4 bases to a unit.
Yep.
It's taken me like a couple of weeks just to paint these guys because they're just fucking nuts.
Actually, I think Warlord might actually... Do they provide you with 10 horses?
12.
Oh, so that's Vitrix. So Vitrix give you 12.
Yeah, I think they're all pretty standard. They give you 12.
We've got that there. So that does suggest that you'll have spare models to do your commander bases with.
Or another way to look at it, if you get 3 packs, No, if you get 2 packs, right, that gives you 24. And if there's 8 in a unit, that gives you 3 units.
Oh,
okay. 2 packs.
Okay. Unless, like me, you don't buy 2 different types of cavalry.
Right, yes.
I should have thought that one through.
Yeah, so this will give me... I'm only doing 2 units because cavalry is really time-consuming to paint, and I want to move on to other things. So I'm going to paint this unit with white horses, and the next unit is going to have black horses.
Right.
And then...
Figure out which regiments which pretty quickly then.
Yes, yeah. On the battlefield, they'll be very distinctive. And then I'll do their brigade commander, probably have 2 or 3 horses on a big round base like that. Commander up the front, some sort of guy at the back with a bugle or trumpet or whatever it is they used. And then another guy with maybe a flagpole and a bit of a pennant, because they didn't actually use flags or anything, they used those long pennants.
Okay.
And that'll be my brigade commander. So there'll be two squadrons of those with a brigade commander, and that'll be my 2nd brigade. And I'll also do a brigade of light cavalry, or the SARs, but they'll just be small units.
So I was about to give you shit for I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, because haven't we all fucking said that over the years?
Yes.
I was going to do my super heavy transport tank Beastman army for 40k, but that never happened.
Right.
Probably for good reason, truth be told. But that said, you've painted up a brigade in fuck all time, I have to say. So I'm expecting that you actually get the job done.
Well, I want to get this out of the way and then move on to the next project.
Right.
Which will be High Elves.
Right.
Which has been sitting on my desk for 9 months, just staring at me, shaming me every single time I sit down to paint something. So look, I just want to get these done, and then I'll move on to my High Elves. They're looking with me that look of disdain and arrogant aloofness.
But that's not because you haven't painted them. They're just High Elves.
Yeah. They're looking at my British going, oh my god, you're using humans. Standards are pretty low.
Well, now you've actually read the rulebook, haven't you?
Yes, several times now.
Right, I haven't got around to it yet. What are your thoughts about the gameplay?
It's fantastic. It's an excellent set of rules. The way the rulebook is set out is probably not user friendly, I would say. It tends to ramble on a bit.
I suppose it's how many gamers get too old and they know too much about history.
It is full of information, but in the rules themselves, you really only need about half the wordage, I would say, to get the point across. You can read it for half an hour looking for something, and then it'll be 2 lines of something. It's like, well, that's really just all I needed. I just needed that little bit. But no, the rules are excellent, and also the way the army list is set out, I really like.
Right.
There are elites in this game, like the Old Guard.
Oh, fucking Deathwing Terminators, Frenchmen.
Yes, as we discovered in our last game, they're rather good.
They are the reason you need cannon in this game, basically.
Well, or just use our own elites, which for the British are the Coldstream Guards.
Right.
They're on the shopping list, but I think that's for later.
Yep.
I'll be happy once I get my basic British Army on the table. So there are lots of checks and balances in this game to stop, one army becoming incredibly powerful. Because we can all take elites, we can all take large units of elites, we can all take cannons, but it is quite well balanced.
Just going to look down the double line there.
Probably a good example is the Highlanders. You can only take 1 out of every 4 line units, so you can't just show up with 6 battalions of Highlanders and make them all large units and blah blah blah.
I'm still trying to figure out who are the Teutonic Space Marines for the Prussian army, because apparently the Prussians don't get really good until a bit later on in the 1800s.
Oh, okay, right.
So they're looking a bit like a standard army at this point.
Well, they do hate the French. I think that's what's going for them.
Well, that's good, because Lou's got a lot of French.
Yeah. So I think they get some kind of special rule when fighting the French. So
we'll have to remind Lou every time we have a game that allegedly you could smell the French cavalry before you could see them.
Okay. I'm not going to ask what kind of smell, but
the smell of lack of upkeep.
Oh, okay, all right. I'll leave that for you to comment on that one.
Yeah. Well, Lou, he talked me into the game with the Prussians. I think he realised that his effort to talk me into the game with the Spanish wasn't going to work, because I've got the Spanish for was it Black Seas?
Yeah.
Because everything else was taken effectively, and I didn't want to do an American list at the time, although they've got some better ships now. So I thought, matching the Spanish in 28mm Napoleonics would be great. But then Lou told me the story of, I may have mentioned this in another video. He mentioned the story of there's a big battle where there's fuckloads and fuckloads of Spanish. But they were mostly conscripts and they weren't very well trained. And they all fired too early, so they didn't have any effect. But there's so many troops all shooting all at once that the noise was so fucking staggering that the Spanish were scared by their own gunfire and half the army broke and ran.
Well, that's just hilarious.
And when you do a Spanish army, you need to buy a lot more figures. And they're a bit flamboyant, so they take a lot longer to paint.
Yeah.
And I certainly listening to this and I'm thinking, well, I've got a young family and I've got many, many other painting projects, and that sounds like it's going to take a fucking long time to have an army that runs away a lot.
Yep. Speaking of that I was reading the rulebook just the other day and I found this really interesting rule. So when a unit fires, in its next turn, when you try and give it an order, it's a -1 to their leadership to give them an order because it's so freaking loud.
Well, I suspect we've not been following that rule.
I just found it the other day and I thought, well, that's actually really cool. That adds another level to the game.
We're definitely going to have to make sure that gets included in the game, especially because the British are all about shooting and...
well, they generally don't move, so I don't have to order them too much. Other than just, don't run away, please.
Yeah, true. That said, if I'm taking Prussians, we're likely to be allies as often as not.
Yes. But I thought that was a really good rule. I thought it was,
It is a great rule. Someone's put some thought into this stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I get that impression from the rules that a lot of thought has gone into this.
It's just worth noting, when you got here, I was about halfway through watching this video, because Warlord Games have been putting out a bunch of videos from one of their games days, and they've had conversations with the designers, and Rick Priestley's has just got dropped the other day, so I was looking at that, and he's the bloke who wrote this.
Yep.
Him and Jules Johnson, I think. I just want to plug it because it's quite interesting to listen to games designers waffle on about what the fuck goes into designing a game and the thinking and decision making. Anything else that we should discuss? Sammy?
So, I haven't actually added up all the points value for this. I think it's around about 200 points at the moment. So, a good game is around about 500 to 1,000 points.
So how many points is this? 200?
This is about 200, so it's actually quite small, really. So this would really only be...
So you probably want another 1 or 2 cannon and another block of, at least another unit of horses.
Yeah, I think with the heavy cavalry brigade and a full battery of cannon, that'd be another 150 points, so 350 points all up. I'll probably end up... Well, I've got some light cav coming as well, but they're really cheap, so maybe another 50 points.
So you're looking at a 400 point army.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of stuff you end up on the table.
It's a ton of stuff.
I mean, I used to think that 150 dwarfs was a lot, but I've seen 300 miniature fucking Russians marching on one side of the table and Austrians up the other.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks for sharing. It's a beautiful army.
Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to actually getting some more biffo into this, and parenting allows. As for those who are watching this, people who are subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. And this is another barrel load of silliness to enjoy. And for anyone who's watching this, because I'm probably going to post it on our Facebook page for Black Powder. This is our first foray into this. We're grey-haired, middle-aged. Well, one of us is, a fat office worker, the other one's not. But, we've been at this for a very fucking long time. We've finally reached that point of middle age where Napoleonic seems like a good idea.
Yes, and it's going really well, and we are enjoying it. And it's a very beautiful game. Coming from Warhammer, which is another beautiful game.
Yeah, this is a very visual game, especially when you put the effort into the scenery.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level of just the spectacle of the game, which I really enjoy. So, yeah, no, it's a beautiful game and it's a good rule system. So, I think this is something that we'll probably be playing for quite some time, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I'll no doubt post some more videos as long as it's entertaining to post this stuff and drink some more Japanese whiskey. In the meantime, feel free to hit like, subscribe, check out some of the other videos on the channel, and time to call it a night.